Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Vidya Mataji, whenever you're ready, you can start Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Natam Trivarotamam Devin Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayeshu Abhareshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Ottamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Today we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 15, Description of the Kingdom of God, Text 13. After thus traveling all over the universes, they also entered into the spiritual sky, for they were freed from all material contamination. In the spiritual sky, there are spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas, which are the residence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees, and are worshipped by the residents of all the material planets. Text 14. In the Vaikuntha planets, all the residents are similar in form to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They all engage in devotional service to the Lord without desires for sense gratification. Text 15. In the Vaikuntha planets is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original person and who can be understood through the Vedic literature. He is full of the uncontaminated mode of goodness, with no place of passion or ignorance. He contributes religious progress for the devotees. Text 16. In those Vaikuntha planets, there are many forests which are very auspicious. In those forests, the trees are desire trees, and in all seasons they are filled with flowers and fruits because everything in the Vaikuntha planets is spiritual and personal. Text 17. In the Vaikuntha planets, the inhabitants fly in their airplanes, accompanied by their wives and consorts, and eternally sing of the character and activities of the Lord, which are always devoid of all inauspicious qualities. While singing the glories of the Lord, they deride even the presence of the blossoming Madhavi flowers, which are fragrant and laden with honey. Text 18. When the king of bees hum in a high pitch, singing the glories of the Lord, there is a temporary lull in the noise of the pigeon, the cuckoo, the crane, the chakravaka, the swan, the parrot, the partridge, and the peacock. Such transcendental birds stop their own singing simply to hear the glories of the Lord. Text 19. Although flowering plants like the mandara, kunta, kurubaka, utpala, champaka, arna, punaga, naga-kesara, bakula, lily, and parajata are full of transcendental fragrance, they are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulsi. For Tulsi is given special preference by the Lord, who garlands himself with Tulsi leaves. Text 20. The inhabitants of Vaikunta travel in their airplanes made of lapis, lazuli, emerald, and gold. Although crowded by their consorts, who have large hips and beautiful smiling faces, they cannot be stimulated to passion by their mirth and beautiful charms. Text 21. The ladies in the Vaikunta planets are as beautiful as the goddess of fortune herself. Such transcendently beautiful ladies, their hands playing with lotuses and their legs bangles tinkling, are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls, which are bedecked at intervals with golden borders, in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 22. The goddesses of fortune worship the Lord in their own gardens by offering tulsi leaves on the coral paved banks of transcendental reservoirs of water. While offering worship to the Lord, they can see on the water the reflection of their beautiful faces with raised noses, and it appears that they have become more beautiful because of the Lord of the Lord's kissing their faces. Text 23. It is very much regrettable that unfortunate people do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planets, but engage in topics which are unworthy to hear and which bewilder one's intelligence. Those who give up the topics of Vaikuntha and take to talk of the material world are thrown into the darkest region of ignorance. Text 24. Lord Brahma said, "My dear demigods, the human form of life is of such importance that we also desire to have such life. For in the human form, one can attain perfect religious truth and knowledge. If one in this human form of life does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his abode, it is to be understood that he is very much affected by the influence of the external nature." Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vidya Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yes, Sri Krishna Prabhu, you can start when you're ready, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Vidya Mataji. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Shikshashtamekam Purusha Puranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sariradari Kripam Mudirtamaham Prapadye. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So in this chapter, so we are seeing the description of the kingdom of God. So here, when the four Kumaras entered the Vaikuntha planets, they are actually giving their own description of what they saw in the Vaikuntha planets. And then we are hearing that from the mouth of Lord Brahmaji. So who is, again, it's being described by Maitreya Rishi. So it's very, through the eyes of multiple sages and through the eyes of Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara and Sananda, and through the Brahmaji he also actually witnessed the spiritual world within his heart by the grace of Lord Krishna. And so all of these sages and pure devotees' realization is coming into these verses. So in the previous, yesterday we have seen how how the whole universe is being covered by this darkness that is coming out from this womb of Diti, where Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha is actually in the womb, and they are by their influence, all the darkness is spreading in the universe. And the demigods, being very disturbed, they approach Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma, now instead of giving the reason, he gives the reason directly, and then he says, it starts describing the beautiful description of Vaikuntha planets, just to pacify them and turn their attention into another world where there is no anxiety. So here the demigods are full of anxiety because they don't know what is coming because of this darkness. And then Brahma is just turning their attention into another world, another atmosphere where there is no anxiety, but is only full of happiness, that all these descriptions we can see. So now starting from verse number 13, now here, so here it's saying that Vaikuntasya Amalatmanaha Yayuhu Vaikunta Nilayam. So they entered the place called Vaikunta Nilayam. Where Sarvaloka Namaskritya, like where the Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who resides there, is being worshipped by Sarvaloka Namaskritya. All of the planets, not only, all of the material planets, everybody worships him. So he's giving that description starting from verse number 13. And So the word Vaikunta itself is Kunta meaning anxiety, Vai meaning there is no anxiety. So the place where there is no anxiety, it's called Vaikunta. So on the contrary, the material world is full of anxieties where the demigods are also sometimes disturbed, and then they approach Lord Brahmaji. So in this case, they are exactly doing that. So here we are all in the material world. Everybody is looking for a permanent happy place, and that permanent happy place, which is eternal, is the Vaikunta planets. And the reason there is no anxiety there is because of there is no birth, death, old age, and disease. And these transformations is what causes the anxiety in this material world. And these transformations are inherent nature of the material world, which cannot be counteracted by any measure other than transporting ourselves into another atmosphere where there is no birth, death, old age, and disease. And that is only possible by engaging in pure devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So that we will see in the forthcoming verses. And in the Vaikunta planet, some descriptions is also mentioned. What are the sages seeing here? What are some interesting features? All that is mentioned here. Vasanti yatra purushaha. So here in the Vaikunta, Sarve Vaikunta Murtayaha. So here it says that Sarve Vaikunta Murtaya. Murtaya means form. Everybody is looking similar to the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, in their form. So that is described here. And then, Ye Animitta Nimittena, they don't have any desires for sense gratification in this planet. And what is their engagement? Their engagement is Dharmena Aradhyan Harim. So they are just worshipping the Lord Hari spontaneously, and they are engaging their minds in that aspect. So that is mentioned here. So here this is again a contrary to the material world. That material world, we don't see people looking with four hands, and we don't see people without material desires. So in the Vaikunta planets, people don't have a particular occupation, but their occupation is like rendering service to the Lord without any motivation, without any purpose. They just spontaneously do that. So Prabhupada points out that although every service has a result, still they don't care about the result. They just do the service out of their own accord. So that's why it's transcendental loving service to the Lord. And then so here it is mentioned that what are some inner aspect of this place, Vaikunta. So in the Vaikunta planets, it is made of Sattvam Vishtabhya Virajam. So the mode of goodness is uncontaminated mode of goodness. It's like you can call Suddha Sattva, like more than Suddha Sattva. This is pure, uncontaminated, meaning there is no scope of entering any Rajas and Tamas. So such is the influence of this place. Bhagavan Shabda Gocharaha. So Lord, who can be understood by the Vedic literature. So he, by his influence, this place is full of pure goodness. And so here it is mentioned that Lord is favorably bestowing his mercy upon all the devotees. So again, Prabhupada points out that material world, we can understand the Lord only by the Vedic literatures and all the Vedic literatures that describes the Lord's activities, pastimes, we can understand. But we cannot speculate anything of this eternal atmosphere, just like the modern scientists. They are trying to travel into another space, another planets, and they're trying to see what's the atmosphere is like. They can never be able to reach such any conclusion unless they come and understand the Vedic literatures. So in the Brahma Samhita also it says, Pantastu koti satavatsara sampragamyo vayoratapi manaso muni pungavanam sopi asti prapadda avinchitya tatve govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. So even if you go in the speed of mind, still you cannot, understand how is this Vaikuntha planets, how is the Vaikuntha planets and all this is Lord is manifesting, So even just to enter into that understanding, it is not even possible. So again, Prabhupada makes a point that in the material world, the goodness is always mixed here. It's not pure goodness. It's not Shuddha Sattva. But in the spiritual world, it's pure, uncontaminated, pure goodness. So that is the difference between material world and spiritual world. So, and then going on further, in the Vaikuntha planets, there are many forests, Vanam Kama Dugair Drumai. So here the Kama Dugai means it's desire yielding trees. So these are all Kalpa Vrikshas. So these trees can fulfill the desires of all of the Vaikuntha Vasis. And it is Sarva Rutu Shribir. Sarva Rutu, like Rutu means season. Sarva, in all seasons, there are beautiful flowers, beautiful fruits. All of these is manifesting in all seasons, not only like if you look at this material world, the fruits manifest in a particular season. Each of the fruits manifests in the trees. So here, contrary to this, in the Vaikuntha planets, we can see that not only fruits, the flowers also. Like even in the flowers have a particular season that if you look at certain flowers in the mountain area, it only manifests once in a year. And some flowers are once in 12 years. There are very rare flowers, even in the material world, that comes once in 12 years. But here, all of the seasons, the flowers are manifesting in fruits. And another important point Prabhupada makes is all living entities are equal. They are all in Krishna consciousness. There is in the material world, we consider human being is on the higher form, and then the animals are on the lower form, trees and plants. But in the spiritual world, all forms are equal. All forms have same consciousness, Krishna consciousness, and they're all engaged in the service of the Lord. So again, the word Murtimat meaning a form or personal, is stressed here, that everything has a form and everything is the rendering service to the Lord in the spiritual form. So that is mentioned here. So there is no difference between one form and another form. So that is an important point. And also the another aspect of what four Kumaras are seeing, they're seeing some beautiful aeroplanes. Vaimanikaha. So Vaimanikaha is aeroplane, flying aeroplanes. Sa Lalanas. So along with the wives of the Vaikuntha Vasis, they are going in these airplanes, and what they are doing also, they are they are describing while on the airplanes. They are Charitani Shashvat Gayanti Yatra. So they are singing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is devoid of all the inauspicious, so which are always devoid of all the inauspicious qualities, meaning it is full of auspicious qualities. They're singing the glories of the Lord. And a particular aspect is also mentioned, that in the spiritual world there are flowers called Medavi. Madhavi flowers. These Madhavi flowers are filled with nectar. Madhu Madhavina, like they are carrying so much nectar that when the breeze flows, this Madhavi flowers fragrance mixes with the breeze, and then it brings so fragrant smell. And then when that fragrant smell hits them, they kind of gets disturbed because of this, because they're so immersed in singing the glories of the Lord that they don't feel like, they kind of curse this fragrant, so and this is again their wonderful qualities of how much immersed they are with the singing the glories of the Lord is mentioned here. So and then going on further here, the different species that the birds that they live in the spiritual Vaikuntha plants also mentioned. So here Paravata, like Paravata is like a pigeons, Anya Bruta, Sarasha, Chakravaka. Chakravaka bird we normally see. Datyuhu, Hamsa. So Hamsa, swan, Suka, parrot, Titri, and then Barhinam, peacock. So all of these beautiful singing birds, all there, but still there is a beautiful quality of even though in the material world everybody likes their own singing, like even Prabhupada makes a point, even the ass, he likes the way that he is actually singing. But in the spiritual world, even though they have such a beautiful like peacock and parrots and hamsa, they have beautiful voice, still they kind of listen to the bird who sings the glories of the Lord. So here, the king of bumblebees, Brunga Adipa, he is doing Harikatam Iva Gam Gaya Mane. So he's singing the glories of Harikatha. So now they're all very quiet and they are all listening to the Harikatha being sung by the bumblebee. So that beautiful aspect of Vaikuntha planets is mentioned. And then there are many special plants, creepers, plants, all of that is mentioned here. Mandara, Kunda, Kurabatpola, Champakarna. So all of these beautiful plants, they all have beautiful flowers. Champaka flowers we know. Naga Keshara, so Bakula, lily, like lily also we know here, Parijata. So all of these flowers have wonderful fragrance. Obviously the lily has a so wonderful fragrance. And here they all of them are they are actually very conscious of the austerities performed by Tulasi. So here they are saying Gandhe Archita Tulasi Abaranena Tashya. So here they are all saying that because of the Lord's always likes to garland Abaranena with the Tulasi flowers, Tulasi leaves, they all be very conscious of Tulasi's great position. And they give special preference by the Lord for Tulasi leaves. And again, here, the importance of Tulasi, Prabhupada is making a point that Tulasi plants are very important in devotional service. And devotees, there are many ways to do service to Tulasi plant by watering the Tulasi, by growing Tulasi plant, worshipping Tulasi leaves with the Lord, worshipping the Lord with Tulasi leaves. All these activities is considered very auspicious for bhakti. So, in this material world, but people don't understand. Like sometimes they make a comment that, so here Prabhupada also makes a comment that one atheistic Swami was encouraging, what is the use of Tulasi plant? Instead of that, we can create another eggplant. At least we can get some vegetables. But they don't understand the importance of Tulasi from a transcendental perspective, and they are just creating this havoc in the by educating like this with the people in general. So another important thing here mentioned is there is no enmity or there is no envy among devotees in the spiritual world. There is a true harmony among all of their services, how they look at each other, and this is also mentioned here in the purport here. So and then going on further, Prabhupada, so here another aspect of how the Vaikuntha planets is mentioned, like the Kumaras, they are seeing, they mention about some aeroplanes that the Vaikuntha-vasis are traveling. They are seeing how these aeroplanes are decorated. So they are decorated with Vaidurya, Markata, Hema, Mayir, Vimanai. So Vaidurya, Markata, Hema, like gold, all of these the different emerald, gold, it's all bedecked like with along with the stones. And uh, and the Vaikuntha Vasis who are traveling on these aeroplanes, their beautiful form is also described. They are traveling along with the consorts, and the consorts are so beautiful by their appearances, smiling faces, but still they don't provoke the Rajoguna in by their beautiful forms. The Vaikuntha Vasis, they don't get passionate. Krishnatmanam Naraja Adutur. Na Raja. Raja is like the passion. So the passion is not evoked by their beautiful forms. Their husbands were so immersed in the bhakti that the Lord's devotional service, and the passion does not arouse in their hearts. That another aspect of why is mentioned here. So again, Prabhupada makes a point that in this material world, to achieve all this, wonderful diamonds and ornaments, we have to work very hard. But these Vaikuntha-vasis, they just enjoy Lord's property, and they are, enjoying all this just because they are in harmony with the Lord. They are always engaged in the service of the Lord. And again, there is no sex desire in the Vaikuntha, because the desire to enjoy in the company of the Lord and glorifying engaging in the devotional service of the Lord is so high, and that there is no need of sex pleasure, and the residents of Vaikunthas have a higher standard of pleasures. That's what Prabhupada is making a point here. So, and then the verse number 21. So these Vaikuntha, in the Vaikuntha planets, again, Sri Rupini Pavanayati Charanaravindam. So here, the goddess of fortune is so beautiful, but all of the ladies in the Vaikuntha planets also, they look like goddess of fortune. So they are also so beautiful, and they are all such transcendental Leelambujena Hari Sadmari Mukta Dosha. So they are all free from all the faults. Now, just to receive the grace of the Lord, Yad Anugrahena, like just to receive the grace of the Supreme Lord, all these Vaikuntha planets, there are many buildings made of Vaidurya stone, and they are just polishing those crystals, and they are sweeping the marble walls, and they are just to get the attention of the Lord. They are doing all this service, and that is mentioned here. So again, in the Brahma Samhita also says that Lord Krishna is served by millions of Lakshmi Saharsha Sata Sambrama Sevyamana. So again, the Vaikuntha planets, there are many so all of the Vaikuntha planets, Sri, like just like Lakshmi, how beautiful, everybody looks similar here, it's mentioned here. And then the verse number 22, again, here it said, the goddess of fortune, in their own gardens, she worships tulasi leaves, and then on the transcendental reservoirs of water, she worships the Lord. And when she was worshipping, and she looks at the water and the reflection, and when the beautiful faces appear on the reflection, it appears more beautiful, because when Lakshmi ji is seeing the form of the kissing of the Lord, and that is making her more beautiful, and that is also mentioned in this verse. And then verse number 23, now Brahmaji is, after describing all this, now he is saying that, oh, unfortunate that people who do not discuss these descriptions of Vaikuntha planets, but they engage in the unworthy topics to hear and bewilder one's intelligence. Like in this material world, any topic we take, it is chanchalam, it kind of bewilders your mind. And all of these news in the material world about fightings and all that, it's very bewildering. So that is what Brahmaji is saying. And he's also saying those who give up the topics of Vaikuntha and then take to the topics of material world, they are thrown into the darkest region of ignorance. Ashraneshu tamasha hanta. So tamasha is like the darkest of material existence. So devoid of all shelter, meaning is very dangerous. So and the last verse here, in the verse number 24, Brahmaji is saying he is giving advice to demigods that this nara, like naragatim prapanna, like one who gets this human form is very, very fortunate. And because we can reach the highest religious truth and knowledge, perfection. Even Brahma says, even he is desiring such a form. With the human form, we should not, we should not waste, and we should try. One who does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his planets, Vaikuntha, he is saying that he is very much affected by sammohita, vitaya bata mayayate, like because affected by this maya and sammohita, like bewilderment. So here again, Brahmaji is concluding by condemning that the human beings who does not take interest in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is transcendental about Vaikuntha planets. So we are already 7:32. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Let's offer obeisances. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Obeisances to devotees also. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kupasindubhya vacha paditana pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for a wonderful class. Hare Krishna.